Hello again. Now, the assault case against EFF's Mbuyiseni Ndlozi and Julius Malema has been postponed to the 29th of September. Ndlozi took the stand today in the Randburg Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. He insists Johannes Venter was humiliated at the funeral of the late Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Ndlozi says Venter's job was to ensure everything ran smoothly during the funeral and not to be one to cause problems. eNCA's Heidi Giokos following the story for us, joining us now live in the studio back from court. Heidi, very good afternoon to you. I understand that Ndlozi said their rights were violated.
Yes, indeed. So we do know that Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, who's accused number 2 in this matter, was cross-examined by the state and also gave his version of events as to what happened the day Winnie Madikizela Mandela was being buried at Four Ways Memorial Park. What we do know is that Mbuyiseni Ndlozi gave his version, saying that when they arrived, their car alone was the only car that was stopped. There were cars before that went through, but it was only their car which had Julius Malema inside, as well as their bodyguards inside the vehicle. And Mbuyiseni Ndlozi got out of the car, he explains, and he says that Colonel Johannes Venter was standing in front of the vehicle, blocking the car with his body and his arms from proceeding. He says things got out of hand, but he claims that his rights were fundamentally violated. He says he was not given the right to mourn the way he wanted to. He says he was not given an opportunity to go inside to the memorial park where Winnie Madikizela Mandela was being buried, and why was only his car being stopped. So things got out of hand. We've seen the video footage of this, but fundamental to his version of events, he says his rights were violated and he had no other choice but to try and push Colonel Venter out of the way because he feels he was blocking the entrance of the memorial park. Let's listen to that.
The problem, I'm not happy or not happy. The things you're asking me are self-evident. And these grounds have been canvassed for so many times. And it's difficult emotionally to keep watching this humiliation of myself and accused one when our rights were being violated to try and go bury a loved one. So to constantly have to interact with this humiliation, it's not easy.
Okay. I understand Ndlozi said as well that Colonel Venter did not come across Heidi as someone who was willing to talk things through at that moment.
Yes, and the reason for this question and this evidence being presented in court today, Bradan, is because we know that the state prosecutor, had questioned Ndlozi as to why he decided to push and pull Colonel Venter, and Mbuyiseni Ndlozi saying there was no room to engage or have a conversation. He says his behavior was one of that he just wanted to block the vehicle. He didn't want to engage, and this is when Mbuyiseni Ndlozi was pulling him to try and get him to the other side to have a conversation with him and say, what is the problem? Why are you not letting us through? What's also interesting here is that Mbuyiseni Ndlozi keeps referring to Colonel Venter as a mountain of a man and that he would finish him in 5 minutes. So he's basically saying his behavior was that of aggression and it became violent, and it was only Mbuyiseni Ndlozi trying to react because they couldn't understand why the vehicle wasn't being let through. Let's listen to part of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi's version now.
He was physical. He was not willing to be conversational. He was physical. The first act of physicality was to grab a car, my car, the car I am in. It will not move. That is his physical language.
Okay.
It will not move by the force of my body.
You explain that to us.
Yes, so I'm saying that and you interact with such a person, they tell you you're not allowed to enter.
But when he said you're not allowed to enter, did you say, I want to speak to your manager, your supervisor?
No, I tried to pull him that, okay, my sense was maybe if we go to the side and have a conversation, he might understand or something. And then the language of his body did not seem to be a man willing to have a conversation.
So you wanted to pull him aside to have a conversation with him?
Yes.
That was your intention? Oh, good.
Yes, that, hey, Chief, maybe, like, let me
speak one-on-one
in the meantime.
Well, that's Mbuyiseni Ndlozi's view and or experience in court, what happened on that day, Heidi. But I understand Mr. Malema, the party's lead, is quite confident that they've got the case in the bag.
Yes, indeed. So what we know is that Julius Malema, who's accused number one in this particular matter, has indicated that he feels as though the state does not have a case, that the state was unable to show how Colonel Fenter was wrong in this. What's also interesting is that Julius Malema outside court today said that the way in which Julius Malema and Mbuyiseni Ndlozi acted and retaliated was in self-defense, because they were trying to get through to the Memorial Park and they couldn't understand why their vehicle was being blocked and why they were being treated this way. Just before we listen to Julius Malema, we know that judgment will be handed down in this matter on the 29th of September. And we do know heads of arguments from both the states and the accused need to be submitted by the 1st of August. Let's listen to Julius Malema.
They couldn't do anything. They couldn't make us concede on any point. If anything, they conceded. At many times, the prosecutor conceded that we were correct. As we were taking the stand, the state case became more weaker and weaker. And we are more than confident that we'll emerge victorious. We had a very solid team, focused, and we did not undermine this case because we knew that when it comes to the leadership of the EFF, there is nothing called small case or big case. Every little opportunity they get to humiliate us, they will use it with both hands. So that's why they humiliated us at the funeral, and they've been humiliating us for the past 4 years on a simple matter where at some point we reached out, even when we're not wrong, to say, let's resolve this through Ubuntu principles, but to show that there is hidden agendas which are informed by, amongst other things, hatred. They declined the Ubuntu principle as envisaged by Nelson Mandela. They claim to be cherishing.
Julius Malema, the leader of the EFF, outside the Randburg